Hi, I'm Judith Coles, and I blog over at His Unmeasured Grace, and Jesus Journaling is part of like an outreach from that, like a part of it. And I'm so glad that you might be watching this on the replay, and that just really makes me glad because we grow as we interact together and share what we have been doing together. And we've been going through the book of Philippians, and that's really been exciting for me. It's been a deep journey for me this week, keeping up with writing out the verses and just drawing about them with company in my house. That made it a little bit different time-wise because I was doing things for them. And what I want to talk to you about today is, can Christians grumble? And I know you know the answer is yes, because if you're like me, without realizing it, you grumble sometimes. And this is from the verses that says in Philippians 2, 4 through 18. And I'm focusing on that because I can't cover everything we've done in the group this past week as we go through it. I'm focusing on something that spoke to me deeply, but then it all spoke to me deeply. So, do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent children of God, without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain, even if I am to be poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrificial offering of your faith. I am glad and rejoice with you all. Likewise, you also should be glad and rejoice with me. Now, I don't have the ability to go through each word and verse in this. I'm just going to touch on a few things that I have been thinking about. And I've been thinking deeply about a lot of things this week, and grumbling is one of them. So, our grumbling is significant to God. It matters to Him. If you remember, I'll just touch on it. The Israelites, they kind of got in trouble for grumbling and complaining. So it's something God takes seriously. And I think that there is a difference between grumbling, and sometimes we need to just have a very close friend that we can talk about and talk out the things that we're going through in our life. There is a difference, so that I don't think that we should take this to the extreme that we never mention anything that we're going through, because there is a time and place for that and a way of doing that without grumbling. So it's not grumbling is having a contentment in Christ for the situations and circumstances that we go through. And it's kind of like when bad things happen, we don't complain about them. And if you think that I'm talking about I just read this in the Bible and I'm explaining it to you, I am not, because I have been through this. I've been through some very deep things in my life. Yes, through my marriage. And we're going to our very first marriage seminar thing this weekend, and I'm really excited about that, because even though we've been married a long time, we still need that. And but I've gone through situations in our family because of some of our children, and a lot of you struggle because of things like that. And there's a way that we can be a testimony and shine as a light, even with things that we're going through, without grumbling. And like I said, if you need to have a close friend that you talk to and talk it out so that you respond in the right way to it, there is a place for that. And so let me think. But we're the point is that we're supposed to be not grumble, so that we are blameless and innocent. And I think one thing I said even to Tim, my husband's Tim, and sometimes, because we're married and we hopefully will keep things just to ourselves, I can grumble and complain about a situation to him because I kind of legalize it. And there is a way of maybe talking out a situation without being a complainer about it. And so it is all because this is how we work out our salvation, and making our salvation real. And part of it is so that we can be in humility serve other people, because that is what all these verses that we've been going through this week are all about, is learning to serve in humility. And if like the one from today, it's talking about I am the more eager to send him. He means Epaphroditus. He's sending them to the Philippians, therefore that you may rejoice at seeing him again, and that I may be less anxious. Because Epaphroditus had been, while Paul was in prison, he was serving Paul so much, and serving and helping him, and that he almost died. He nearly died because of the work for Christ that he was doing, and he was risking his life because of that. And so what? We don't know like why he was sick, or if it was sick because of the area he was living in, or what kind of sickness it was. It doesn't go into that. But Paul felt like it would be make him less anxious if he sent him Epaphroditus, to the Philippians to serve them instead, because something about that would be a better environment for him. And even though Paul would miss him, that was would make him feel more at ease. And like Paul's explaining this to us, and explaining it to us even in the verses before those I just read over, and so, but he's not complaining, so he's being open. So that not grumbling doesn't mean that we're not open with other people about a situation, but that we're not complaining. Paul's not saying that, oh, I had to send Epaphroditus away from me, and I really, things are so much harder for me in prison because he did this for me and he did that for me. He's not doing that. He's saying that it makes him feel so glad and less worried and less sorrowful to have Epaphroditus go there. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that we find a way to not grumble, but do it in a way that, yes, you can share something you might be going through with other people. And it all starts, I guess, the disputing, I'm not really sure what that means, but it might be that a lot of our complaining starts in our head. It starts between our ears, and it starts with the thoughts and that we're going through and having. We may not realize that we're having those thoughts like as a conversation of complaining to God, but we are. And before things come out as words from our mouth, the thoughts that are thought in the wrong way are going through our head. And things like, this isn't fair. It isn't fair that this happened to me. It's not fair that my child was rebellious to me. I did so much for her. And I'm just thinking things off the top of my head. And yes, if you listen to me sometimes, it's like out of my experiences and the things that I've dealt with. And we are not to be frightened of anything, and joylessness kind of comes out of complaints that we have where we lose our joy. And I had a situation, I can't even think what it was this week. Yeah, I know what it was. I had a situation that I really struggled with this week, and it's like I started to spiral down into the melancholy spirit I had like 5 years ago. And because I went through a period of time this one day that I wasn't handling it right, and I had a choice, like whether I would handle it the right way, the way God is, with the joy and the humility that is being talked about in these verses of the last half of the chapter we've been reading this week, or not. And I have decided that what I really need is to deal with some of the things that I've done and to allow God to renew my mind. And I forget where that's from, if it's in Philippians or not, but allow him to renew my mind and to take time. I have my quiet time every day, but sometimes what I don't do is allow God to renew my mind so that my spirit is renewed, so that I can serve others, my husband, and the people that I meet in my life. And it's through doing that type of thing that we shine as lights, because we have been able to have our heart right with God, and that we become the light of the world, so that maybe people that are close enough to us that know we've gone through whatever situation can say, wow, look at that. And they can see Jesus in us through that situation. So my suggestion to you, if you're going or have gone through something, even like 5 years or 10 years ago, or in your childhood, that what I wasn't doing, what I have not been doing, is leaving myself margin in my life. I keep myself so busy that I don't have margin enough to stop and think. And yes, I read my Bible and I color, and that says that I'm done. So think about those things and have a wonderfully blessed day. And I will see you in the group. And if you're watching this on YouTube, because I'm likely to upload it, hit the subscribe button below. Okay, thank you. Bye.